I have the honor and privilege to welcome our guest of the day, Professor Subhashish Chaudhary, who is an Indian electrical engineer and the director at IIT Bombay. He is a former K.N. Bajaj Chair Professor at the Department of Electrical Engineering of the Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay, and is known for his pioneering studies on computer vision. He was awarded Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Prize for Excellence in Research. His research work is primarily in image processing, computer vision, machine learning, and computational haptics. Sir, it's an absolute honor to have you over here, and we cannot wait to have your thoughts, insights, and wisdom shared. So, Professor Chaudhary, the first question that I actually have for you is, the Institute's strategic plan for the year 2017 to 22 had foreseen improving the number of women in the Institute, and it's already mid-2020. So how successful is actually IIT Bombay in doing the same?
Okay, so thank you for hosting me, first of all. It's a pleasure to be here. And it's a very pertinent question, right? That how are you doing in terms of gender parity at IIT Bombay?
Right.
You understand that we are an engineering school, predominantly STEM education. So
right.
Naturally, over internationally also, if you look at it, it's not that it's 50-50 equal. Okay, even though in India, I must tell you, overall in higher education, it's almost 50-50 both sides. So that's pretty good for the overall education scenario in India. But in engineering sector, definitely it's much lower, particularly science and mathematics. But I would say that at undergraduate level, now we have created something called supernumerary seats for women students. And because of that, from this year onwards, we'll have at least 20% of our undergraduate students are going to be women. Okay.
Amazing.
So that means it is a guarantee that's the number we'll be having it. If you go at the master's and PhD level, naturally that number is much higher. So actually we have something like close to 30% of our student base in the postgraduate section would be women. Now, if you look at our workforce, okay, that particularly you have to look at how many faculty members also we have, because they become the inspiration for the next generation. Okay.
Absolutely.
Now, this is where I think we need to work a little harder, because you remember that only when we have more number of students who go through this value chain and go up to the next level, then we can have more of them to be the role model for our students. So right now, it's less than 10% in IIT, definitely, IIT Bombay. But we are trying to see whether more women can be brought in as a faculty members, and also assign them some roles, which is an administrative roles, so that they are more visible to outside world. So that would bring in more women. Okay, so it's not possible to do it overnight. We are working towards it, and hopefully another 5-10 years we'll have an even more healthier number. I would say if we have 30 to 35% students, I would consider it a very healthy number in STEM education.
Absolutely. Considering the stream of studying, that is engineering and more of applied science, in general, the population of women in institutes which are based on the lines of these stream are comparatively lesser. So according to that, if it's 30 to 35, I think it's pretty good. Looking into the stream of the study. That brings me to the second question, actually. The strategic plan was actually made a few years earlier, and the situation right now is quite different thanks to the pandemic. And the COVID-19 has actually forced universities, not only in India, but worldwide, to actually, shift the mode of teaching from offline and face-to-face interaction to more of online teaching. So do you think that e-learning will someday actually replace the traditional classroom, especially considering the pandemic and, applied science that IIT Bombay usually teaches?
See, it's a very relevant question for today, okay? But hopefully, pandemic itself will have its own lifetime. So the question will go out very soon. But at the time being, This question is being asked by many places. The question is online education is a replacement for in-class
Right.
experience of our students?
Right.
Now, I must tell you that no. If you really, one word answer if you want, then I would say no. It's definitely not the answer. Now, given the fact, see this, what do you mean by education? You have to look at this. You have to ask a broader question. So when you talk about education, starting from your early childhood to much later when you grow up, so education actually, I normally put it in three different buckets. Okay, one is a basic learning. Okay, second one is a skill development, where you
Right.
see a lot of people who are in ITI and many other places where do like, how do you learn plumbing? Can I do virtual learning on that kind of things? So that's another. Third one is that once you have enough kind of learning experience, now you want to do some incremental learning. Now, in case of incremental learning, I think online education and others, they play a good role because somebody can do on the job, at the evening, and many other options are available. So
Right.
that's definitely doable. But if you look at the basic education, the purpose is not purely of learning. There are many other things. So you're built, when kids grow up, during the education, it mixes with a lot of people. So what you do is that you develop a lot of soft skill, how to live a life, how to appreciate somebody else who is very different from you, how to
Right.
actually, you ask the question gender. If a boy, how should they deal with a girl? Then similarly, what happens if you are rich? How do you handle a poor? And similarly, if you are poor, how do you know that in your classroom there will be a rich student? So this is all part of learning. Second thing is that when you do learn and you go up the value chain, now it is what is very important is actually what is known as your networking. So you want to build up
Absolutely.
your network, right? Because we are talking about setting up our companies and other. I need support. Who will support it if I am just doing a Zoom or through some kind of an online thing? I am alone in my room. I never go out. I never step out. How do I make friends? So these are the things where actually it is not. But at the same time, okay, if you look at the education, the way it is delivered, it's a very, the current day, all online education, you see these platforms and others, they're absolutely flat, dull, and boring. Okay, it's a good, I would say, in a setup from the point of view of a service like a network service, of a computational service. But what about my body language? See, when I talk, I don't get to see any of my students. Similarly, the student doesn't get to answer immediately, stop me. He has to raise hands or something. If everybody's raising hand, things go haywire. So what happened? There are technology which is currently available where you have like some kind of or I would say, augmented reality, virtual presence, where I know that I am sharing my classroom with 30 other people or 50 other people. So I have to bring them on the same thing. So it calls for a lot of higher dimensionalization of your platform, which is getting developed. See, I belong to that kind of area for research. I know technology exists, but right now it is probably not at a point where it can be put into a system. But in tomorrow, maybe after 15, 20 years, when this kind of dimensionality gets embedded into your learning platform, actually the value of online education will go up drastically. So right now, this is purely like a way of, to avoid the physical contact, you want to reach out to a larger population. These are the primary motivation. It is not from the point of view of giving the student or a faculty an experience of a classroom. That's what is required. And that is what is not there in the current day platforms.
Do
Okay?
you mean to say that it can actually complement the whole teaching, learning scenario that is going on right now, but definitely not substitute the face-to-face interaction and classroom teaching?
Yes. So this is, there is a saying in Bengali, "Dudh ka swad ghol mein." So like, if you have a buttermilk, so if you
Right.
don't, so your actual classroom, that if the test is milk, what you get is like a buttermilk, test of
Right.
buttermilk. It's a, it will do, okay, but it's not same as a real time, okay, whatever we do in classroom.
Right. Professor Chaudhary, I am very curious to actually know your ultimate vision on where do you actually envision IIT Bombay 5 years down the line?
See, the way we were doing, we were actually on a very, very fast track of growth, okay, and development, because a lot of things that happen in not only in terms of our student, your faculty interaction, but also in terms of research, because most of the time, what happens is the research that fetches you a lot more mileage, okay, in the outside world, your recognition to the outside world, to the peers, okay, that gets done. And at the same time, you contribute to the nation building, right? So
Right.
a lot of new things, initiatives were taking place. Like, for example, our students, many of them were doing very, very interesting work on entrepreneurship, like this set up companies. So you create jobs instead of searching for jobs. And these are the ones that actually creates wealth for a nation. So you need these kind of activities, you need to promote them. And at the same time, you create research, you need, of course, some blue sky research, but at the same time, you need translational research that has to go to the actual country or to the nation overall in terms of getting it translated into products. So we were doing very well. Unfortunately, what happened is because of the COVID now, it has put a break in all our research activities. And what happens is that even tomorrow, supposing situation improves, we call up your students, you don't have what is called a warm start. You have actually a cold start because you have to reboot everything from zero. And this is like for almost more like 4 months now you're closed. And we need to now look at that particular aspect very carefully. We are not able to bring people. So on the other hand, many of our competitors in US and others, and Europe, they have opened up. So they're already doing a lot of work in terms of, even in terms of like, this COVID or other related research activities. So this is where we are a little bit lagging behind because we are not able to even start the process during this time. I hope this pandemic goes off very quickly so that our students are all back and we could actually again build up from where we left earlier. So we are hoping, so it will be definitely, it's a spanner in our developmental plan, but I hope that whatever, so we do take the learning experience and so, fast track whatever is required at some point. Okay.
Right. So, sir, you said that you're hoping that the pandemic goes away very soon so that the university actually picks up from where it left behind. And you also explained the importance of classroom teaching in general. But the COVID is not going away anytime soon. It seems so, at least. And campus experience in general actually plays a very proactive role in imparting education to the students. So how will IIT Bombay actually replicate the campus experience altogether through the virtual mode of teaching and learning?
So, I partly answered to this particular question when I talked about this, the purpose of this education and others, because in IIT, what we have is actually this particular kind of, the campus, the ambience that we have in this. So that actually plays a heavy role in creating what is called an IIT and IIT Bombay, if you look at it. So this is what everybody, all the students, they are dying to get that kind of an experience, okay? Because you actually talk, you sit down, you discuss, you actually have a duel with all your colleagues who are all very high level, in terms of intellectual capabilities. Now, what we are trying to do is that, of course, they are not here, but we are using the students that we have, few of them in different kind of categories, and get them involved in creating certain kind of opportunities on online forum. So they can have discussions, they can have certain competitions. So some kind of a relationship building over the, in the platforms of such kind of online platforms, so that they are always in touch with their friends. See, there are two things that is you should realize. One is that some of our students, those who are not onboarded, like the fresh students, right? For them, they wouldn't be knowing anybody. So that becomes very difficult for them to suddenly make friends on online or something. But for those who are continuing, right? So there's a large number, 75% of our students would be like a continuing student. So they already know quite a good number of their friends already because they were in the campus. So at least they should be able to continue with their relationship so that they can have that kind of intellectual interaction with all their friends, even social levels. So that develops them into full-blown characters of tomorrow. So that's what we are trying to do. We are not sure what happens to this new group of students who would be coming in, because see, they are all like individuals. So they are not, we have never put them into a single platform, right? Absolutely. So they don't know each other. We'll try to think about some innovative ways, but I think once we have them admitted into our system, yes, we'll look into that.
Moreover, I think they're mentally prepared for this as well, and just hoping to get back to campus as soon as possible.
Of course. I get every day some email from students, sir, can I come back? I need to come back because my lab, but we said, sorry, first we have to be very careful because we cannot provide you in hostels are very cramped and there is no space for social distancing. So first we'll try to make sure that it doesn't happen. Then only we try to see. Okay, so there are a lot of students, around 11,000 students coming back into the campus. It's no easy way to handle this, under these pandemic conditions.
Absolutely. Talking of virtual teaching and learning in general, we cannot ignore the fact that a huge population, a major population of India actually don't have access to internet, which is a necessary part for virtual learning and teaching altogether. So how is IIT Bombay actually planning to take care of this lack, I would say, for the economically less privileged families?
See, you have to, understand a few things. Okay, when you go for, see, India as a nation, it's a huge country, a lot of diversity. Okay, it could be a lot of inhomogeneity. It's in language, culture, the economics of it, whatever, the digital divide. You talk it. There are a lot of kind of constraint on the resources that we have. So naturally, no matter what you do, there would be difficulties. Okay, a group of people, a segment of India would be having trouble. But at the same time, you have to realize that until and unless we allow people to slowly go and keep moving up, okay, they cannot take the rest of the people along with them, and together we have to grow. So only when I grow, I can help my friends, my other relatives, my people, all these people create jobs. Then together, so it's like it's a slow process. We have to take them one by one, to the next level. So this problem, it does exist, and even for our students, because our 60% of our students come from various kind of categories, and many of them have come from extremely poor background. So what we have done, we anticipated this kind of problem. So we started a kind of a fundraising drive, okay, which you might have heard. And we realized that roughly about, say, 1,000 to 1,500 of our students would be requiring support in terms of something like a laptop, data cards. So we went out with an appeal to all of them, entire people, even through this medium. I'm, appealing to all, saying that please, okay, help, because these are the futures of tomorrow. They will come back. And thanks to that, our alumni, okay, they have been doing very well. So I think those who are based in US, they have already promised us something like more than $300,000 of support, which is something like 2.3 crores of money. And just this morning, we got our strong support from 94 batch of our alumni. And they have promised 1.25 crores. So
that is absolutely amazing.
Yes, so we hope, so see, this is where actually our alumni, they are actually our strength. So they have said, we are trying to raise even more, and we'll try to get back to you. So our current estimate, we need probably around 6 to 7 crores of money to support these people. And by the way, our plan is not to just say that here is money, go and buy laptop and support yourself. Our plan is that we give them an interest-free loan, which is returnable anytime in your lifetime or even beyond that. Now you may say, what is beyond that? Beyond that means, so we would, of course, we hope that within 5 years of your graduation, you should be able to, pay it back to this particular fund. But if not, we'll wait, and maybe IIT Bombay would be in your will, where we can actually say, okay, I could not pay it, but this is the time I give you, I give back to IIT Bombay, my alma mater, okay? And the whole purpose is that we want to keep it in a reserve pool, so that tomorrow, again, something happens. There are some, there may be flooding, there could be something else, some kind of endemic. Then those days, this money will be again useful. So instead of exhausting the fund, so we'll try to give some money so that it gets replenished and stays that way. Is that okay? So that's our plan, and hope we are working towards it. So we are 70% near our target in terms of making our commitment to the students who come from the poorer background.
The plan in itself is not only very promising, but truly it is amusing and amazing both, I would say, because a plan like that, it can actually change the whole concept and the fear that many of the residents and the students who are aspiring to go ahead and actually pursue their education from IIT Bombay. A lot of that tension gets reduced altogether, I guess.
Prarthana, I must also tell you one. So far, okay, I've been here in IIT Bombay.
Yes.
In last 30 years, okay, I have not seen a single student getting turned away for lack of money. So it has come around, okay, and said, okay, don't worry about the money, we'll find out. If you get admitted to the process, we'll try our best to find out support for you. And our alumnus, no matter where they are, they have been very helpful. We also had some philanthropists where those people have been helping us. And we would like to utilize, because see, we have to invest in future. But these are the people, so they would, when they go up, they take their family, they take all the people in the neighborhood, all of them. So entire country goes up in the value chain. So that's in our dream, that we should be able to help each and every person in India. Yes, that's our dream.
The relationship basically is not for just 3, 4, 5 years. It's way beyond that.
Absolutely.
The last question that I have from you is there any piece of advice or wisdom that you would actually like to share with the aspiring engineers or youth in general of our nation who will be watching this video and watching you?
So I think, first of all, I think the youth today in India, they're very smart. They're much smarter than when we were young, a long time ago. Okay, so they know what they want. Right. They also are demanding. So they demand a lot of things, which is good. Okay, they know how to build their careers, their expectations. These are all good things. But I tell you one thing, which is probably a little bit poor in today's youth, I think, if I may call it, is that, see, it's always good to have aim very high. You should shoot for the sky. Absolutely, right? There's nothing like that. But, we are not accustomed to taking failures. Okay, the problem is that, see, when you try for something, an exam, okay, once in a while, some of us would fail. If you are trying for something, your new business, it may fail. Entrepreneurship, when you do set up a startup company, almost 8 or 9 out of 10, they fail. Okay. So if you are actually worried about that when you are not able to take it, okay, then what happens is that we lose a lot of people into that process. You give up. Right. Okay. And you are not able to handle that properly. So my advice to the people that, look, it is an opportunity right now. Of course, I mean, even COVID time could be an opportunity for a lot of new things. You have to look for opportunities, see what you can do, but put your feet, always on ground, because if you don't, when you fall very hard and it's going to hurt you. Okay. So if you know that certain times there are failures that is going to come to you, but you know way out, you know that you have to recover, then the entire platform belongs to you. You can do wonderful things. Okay. And my request would be to look for that. Don't, if something doesn't happen, don't feel too much pressurized. Don't take like, that's what the youth is supposed to be. Your blood should be boiling. And you say, oh, I must be doing something new. I must be doing something great. And that's the spirit. And, but at the same time, be rational. I think that's what I would stop at that point.
Very wise, very wise. Thank you so much, Professor Chaudhary, for taking time out of your busy schedule and doing this with us. It was an absolute, absolute honor and privilege to have you with us. We would love to have you back. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Bye.